Hello everybody, welcome to this week's midweek thought for the day. So today, I know it's Thursday. Today we've got a couple of readings and then I'm going to read you a little bit from our book that we're looking at, Out of the Silence by Terry Waite, and his poem. We found this quite challenging during the services this week, so I'm not sure if you'll agree with the poem or not. We'll get there eventually. First of all, we're going to start with Psalm number 7. We're going to listen to the first 8 verses of Psalm 7. O Lord my God, in you I take refuge. Save me from all my pursuers and deliver me. Or like a lion they will tear me apart. They will drag me away with no one to rescue. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there is wrong in my hands, if I have repaid my ally with harm or plundered my foe without cause, then let the enemy pursue and overtake me, trample my life to the ground, and lay my soul in the dust. Rise up, O Lord, in your anger. Lift yourself up against the fury of my enemies. Awake, O my God, you have appointed a judgment. Let the assembly of the peoples be gathered around you, and over it take your high seat on high. The Lord judges the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, and according to the integrity that is in me. So that's the first reading. The second reading is a kind of classic reading when we want to think about Jesus being angry, and how he expresses that anger. So this is a kind of classical reading from that. So it's Matthew 21, verses 12 to 17. Then Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who were selling and buying in the temple, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. He said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he cured them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the amazing things that he did and heard the children crying out in the temple, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they became angry and said to him, "Do you hear what these are saying?" Jesus said to them, "Yes, have you never read, out of the mouths of infant and nursing babies you have prepared praise for yourself?" He left them and went out of the city to Bethany and spent the night there. So wanted to have a psalm for today. There's lots of anger in psalms. There's lots of people wanting God to be angry on their side. Be angry for me, God. There's lots of people who are angry with God for what God has let happen. And there's all those sorts of various emotions in between in the Psalms. So if you read the Psalms, you'll find various expressions of anger in that way. And then in this reading in Matthew, Matthew 21, we see Jesus being angry with the people in the temple for disrupting the temple as a place of prayer. And then because Jesus was healing so many people, the authorities were angry with him. They're angry with him because they don't understand what's going on. They're angry with him because he's at risk of upsetting the status quo. They might be angry with him because if it looks like a rebellion, then the Romans are going to come down on them pretty hard. And so this whole thing, we give people trying to keep the peace in an occupied nation, and they're angry that Jesus is upsetting that. So there's lots of anger in this bit, and there's anger expressed in all sorts of parts of the Bible. Now, Terry Waite writes about anger, and there's quite a big bit of his story that we're going to read today. It starts with someone asking him a question, and then what is written is kind of his response to that. So we start with the question asking, "I don't understand," said the questioner, "is why you did not experience more anger towards your captives, and why you are not angry today. And this is Terry's response. Initially, I was angry. I was angry with my captors for breaking their word when they had given me a promise of safe conduct. It was when I grew to understand the reasons for their behaviour that my anger dissipated. Although I did not agree with their actions, I could understand their behaviour, misguided as it was. I would not say in any way that I am a soft sentimentalist, but over the years I have met hundreds of people, both men and women, languishing in the prisons of our land. When one gets to know them and their background, then frequently one has a better understanding as to why they were led into crime. I know full well that there are lots of people who have had a difficult childhood with no real family life and no adequate support when growing up, and have managed to make something of their life. But circumstances vary. As for my captors, many of them were recruited into the ranks of a terrorist organisation when they were at an impressionable age. Once inside, there was no retreat. I have frequently quoted the story of one young guard who cheated the terrorist organisation when given money to buy food for captives and tried the old trick of pocketing half for himself. When his duplicity was uncovered, he was taken and shot. If he cheated the organisation on small matters, what would he do if he was offered a large bribe to betray the organisation, reasoned his superiors. Also, I have seen so many people who have suffered a terrible personal tragedy when a child of theirs has been murdered or they themselves have been the victim of a violent attack. They have been understandably angry and have allowed that anger to fester until their own life has been almost totally destroyed. Anger should not be allowed to turn to bitterness, for bitterness is like a cancer that enters the soul. It does more harm to those who hold it than it does to those against whom it is held. I don't want to lose the capacity to be angry, but I hope that I shall be able to deal with my anger in such a way that it can be turned and used for creative ends. These few lines sum up something of what I believe. So then we come to the poem. I don't know if I agree with the poem. That's one of the issues for me. I'm not sure if I agree with it or not. But it's certainly a challenge. It's a good challenge to make us think about anger, the anger that we feel, and how we express that and how that lives in our lives. So this poem's called Anger. Anger rages like a consuming fire, destroying all that would impede its relentless pathway. Do not extinguish the flames totally. Calm them and warm yourself by the gentle glow of the embers. So that was this week's midweek thought for the day. A kind of challenge for us to think about anger in our lives, what it's doing to us, and how we should be dealing with it. So I'll see you again at the weekend when we have a Sunday thought for the day. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.